All right, boys, welcome to my no bullshit tune video. This is how I tune. A lot of people requesting it. You know, everybody that makes a tune video, they tune for their own style. Everybody says different things. Little background real quick. I tuned over 500 cars in Motorfest. I've had cars in real life. I've raced cars. I've modified cars. I've done springs, any kind of install you can think on a sketchy driveway with elevation. It's everything. I've done it all in my life. Okay, here's my old R33. I had a GTST. I was putting about 350 horsepower to the wheels. It was a fun car. Okay, it was a fun car. These work VSXX wheels were probably more than your whole car. Okay, if you even own a car, you're playing Forza, so you're probably not. I had a Z as well. Thing was absolutely crazy as far as grip, and this was like a very fun car that you could whip around. It was so fun. Okay, I had an Eclipse. I've had a ton of cars. Okay, basically my point is I have some background in cars. Okay, I know a little thing. I know what the settings do. It's also not hard. If you go into the tune menu, it literally gives you a description. Now, I do want to set the record straight. Okay, I'm not gatekeeping my tunes. Like the first few tunes I did, I'm new to Forza. I never really played Forza Horizon. I never really got into it. The tuning is completely ass backwards from what you think would make sense. And it's been a learning process. I've spent tens of hours tuning cars. I do it live on stream. You can grab any car that I tune in the moment live on stream. And if you can either grab the share code or you can grab the actual settings. They're always there on every live stream. Okay, there's no gatekeeping. And the only reason the first few videos I released of like the R34, the R35 is because I just forgot that Forza doesn't let you customize wheels and people want to customize their cars. Okay. The other thing I want to point out is tuning takes time. Like I think some of these people that come in the comments think like I'll put up a tune video, right? And I'll give the tune, I'll give like some quirks about the car, like, okay, well, watch out for this, or it kind of acts like this under a certain load, or if you don't brake in a straight line, it's going to lose traction, or like do this, do that. Like each car has its quirks after I tune it. And I specifically go over that information so when you download the tune or you copy the tune, you're aware of how it handles and you can adjust for that. You know what I did when I got my hands on this game? I went in and I min-maxed everything and I took it out and I saw how it performed, and then I took it the complete opposite way, one at a time, and I learned. And then I took it and I did some testing. I'll change one thing. I'll go, okay, it didn't do what I want. And then I'll change something. And then I'll go, okay, well, that's kind of getting closer. And then I'll go out again. Like sometimes it takes 45 minutes to an hour to tune a car. You can literally go back yesterday, it's today, May 22nd, 2026. I had 2 streams. Each were like 5 hours each. You can go and see the process of me tuning the car and going in there. And then what I do, how I change it. People ask questions. I give them brief rundowns. I'm saying, okay, well, you doing this? Okay, well, try this. It's literally that simple. Okay. But anyway, yapping out of the way, I'm going to go in and I'm going to give you how I see the numbers changing and what I feel they do, because I've watched some videos and I'm like, that's not my experience. And some people tune for the meta. Some people are using like off-road suspension or rally tires, or certain, like they'll use a drift differential for like a race setup. I don't give a fuck about the meta. Okay. And I guess the other big complaint I've seen is, okay, well, some of these content creators that are good at tuning cars have shit taste in wheels and body kits and stuff. When I had my R33, I kept it period correct. You know, I had everything was like pristine from the 90s. All right, like you got to have good taste, especially when you own a really nice imported JDM car. You can't cheap out. You can't go to AutoZone and get the flame decals and get the fake hood scoops. You know what I mean? I pride myself on building some good cars. Now, granted, this fucking game, the wheels look like shit. They're from like 15 years ago. They still haven't updated them. Like they look off. I don't know if it's the offsets of them or what. They just look fucking goofy. So I always run the same like 6 or 7 wheels. Okay. My goal here is to teach you what I've learned. Okay. But you can go learn yourself. That's how I did it. You know what I mean? You can go teach yourself. That is a possibility. But I'm going to go over how I tune my cars. A lot of people like them because they're grippy. That's what I did in Motorfest. I made them grippy. In arcade games, a lot of time people would tune for a little bit to be like loose. So you kind of power slide around corners because that's technically faster. But like, I want it to be like real life. And you go watch a race, they're not power sliding around a fucking corner. They're gripped up. You know, that's how I want the cars to feel. And some cars take more work than others. If you're tuning A class and under, you really don't have to do much. They're very just grippy out of the box as long as you get the right tires. Okay. I'm not going to go over really any performance parts. I'm going to go over the settings. Okay. I will tell you how I feel about certain tires, and we'll do that after. But I've seen some people like, oh, well, if you're running a semi-slick, you need 28 to 30 PSI. If you're running a full slick, you need 26.5 to 28.5 PSI. If you're doing this, fuck all that, dude. Whatever. If those are how the meta tunes work, great. I tune for fun, and I always make the car look good before I go tune. And there's been plenty of cars, like this one has full aero, right? But there's plenty of cars that I've tuned that have absolutely no aero because I refuse to put those dookie ass Forza swan necks and splitters on. I refuse. So I make it work without downforce tuning. Is it harder? Yes, but eventually we get there. Okay. So first things first, tire pressure. Okay. I don't notice a big difference. I'm not gonna lie. I don't notice a big difference. I usually run between 28 and 32 PSI. If I feel like the car needs a little bit more grip, I'll lower it. I don't really go past 28. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to run 20 PSI in a tire. You're not drag racing. You're racing around a circuit. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay. So like this is my R34, 30 PSI. That's that. I think I'm running, I had to go look at the tires. I might be running full slicks. Okay. Gearing. So I'll actually give an example of this. We'll go get a new car real quick, and I'll show you how I tune the gears. It's very simple. It's very simple. That way it'll make sense. All right, so I got this RCF here. It's stock. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the drivetrain. Now, I've seen a lot of people complain, oh, why do you put the race transmission on? It sounds like shit. It ruins this. Look, it unlocks full gear ratio tuning. Okay, like I didn't make the game. All right, that's what I'm running. Anyway, this only unlocks the final drive. I want full gear ratio tuning because I tune all of my gears. Okay. I don't like running more than a 6-speed. 5-6-speed is my favorite, but there's some cars that I have to run a 7. But like this race transmission, we should be good to go. Head to a drag strip, preferably one that's a mile, not the shortest one. I don't remember where it is, but you want to go to one of the longer ones, either the one at the festival base or like this one. And then before you do any gear tuning, you're just going to go and see how fast the car goes. See what the top speed is. We're going to run out of road here. This one's still climbing. Sorry, well, we could probably squeeze like 180 out of this, okay? So here's the deal. Go to tune car, go to gearing. Now, if you see, our little lines down here are way past 216. So we're going to boost this towards acceleration. It's actually got a shit ton of gears. Yeah. We're going to, if you look at the left here, it tells you the stats. Our top speed is 195. Now, we got way too many gears. This thing... I actually might go put the 6-speed on it. Yeah, so the race transmission, we probably got like 8-10 gears in this thing. I would want a 6-speed, okay? So I'm gonna put the 6-speed in. That's just my personal preference. I don't like having to shift every second. Whap, 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 whap. It's just annoying, okay? I don't wanna do it. I don't wanna do it. Okay, so now we're gonna see what we get up to. Still same thing. We probably, if we're doing like an actual race, probably about 175, 180 is where, because some cars will start slowing down and be like, all right, well, it doesn't have much juice left in it. So for this, we're gonna bring the acceleration, the final drive up, and we're gonna set, I don't know, like a 485. This is 173 miles per hour. So now we're gonna see where that lands us, and then we're gonna rip it right back up, and we're gonna see. This fucking G-Wagon, dude. I know he saw me. Now that we tuned for acceleration, it's going to be a lot quicker getting up to that 170. Actually lengthen it a little bit. That's probably going to be good there. And then I usually like to make my second gear usually a little longer. So I'll just, I don't know, look at the graph and try to make it like arch up. You know what I mean? And then once you adjust second, you kind of got to adjust everything else. And that I'm actually going to shorten. And then since I shortened 6th gear, I'm actually going to lengthen the final drive a bit. And see what that feels like. You're trying, like, a lot of people are like, oh, you got to stay in the power band. I don't know how to check. I know there's like a menu you can somehow open that shows you like tire temperature. I don't, whatever, dude. I just go off a feeling. If it feels right, if it seems like it stays in the power band, fine. I'm not going to get into it. I don't get that crazy into it. I just, whatever it feels like is good, I go with, okay? I'm not trying to be the #1 player. I'm trying to have fun, okay? So, let's rip this thing and see what it feels like now. The reason I tuned 2nd gear to be longer is especially because when you're coming out of corners, especially if you drive a rear-wheel drive car, you don't have to do as much throttle control because you'll be lower in the power band before like the turbo kicks in and it won't just immediately spin out. So this is just about topping out. I will stretch it just a little bit more. And I'll call that a day. Gearing is done. That's how I do gearing. That's it. It's that simple. All right, before I show you and start talking about the rest of the settings, I'm going to show you how this thing performs so you can see visually how it handles, okay? And then I'll talk about it, all right? So we tuned this up a few days ago, and it's pretty damn grippy. As you can see, it handles very well. Some cars take longer than others, you know what I mean? But as you can tell, it's ripping pretty well. Anyway, you get the point. So, after you do gearing, gearing's always first. Always dial in your gearing, okay? Alignment. Now, I've seen a lot of the bigger content creators say, don't go past -1 degree. And then for the rear, you want to stay between like -0.6 and 1.0. Okay, well, if you get a Forza edition car and you look at some of these crazy time attack cars, they've got like -2.5 to -3 in the front and usually -2 to -2.5 in the rear. There's a reason for that, right? Race cars run camber. So when these people are like, oh, barely run any, you want the turn in. You want, like, you know, when you camber a wheel, they go like this. So when you're turning, right, on the outsides, whatever you're putting the weight on, the tire's flat and gets the grip. That's the idea of camber. I run usually -2 to -2.5 on the front. Sometimes if I feel like I need a little bit more grip, I'll go to like 1.7, 1.8. All right. But you're always going to run negative camber. You're not going to run positive on a race car. Well, at least in this game, you're not going to do it. Okay. Same thing with the rear. Now for this was the first car I went the same front and rear, but it's all-wheel drive and it worked. So if it works, go for it. But usually you'll want to have more negative camber on the front to give it more turn in, okay? Don't be afraid to go up to -3. It's really not that bad. You'll see other people saying to go not even to 1, and it's like, stop it. Not that serious. Anyway, the toe, I really don't understand the toe in this game. I usually go toe out because that increases stability, or turn in response. Okay. Toe in increases stability, but it's like, what do you need stability for? The cars always feel fine. I never have gone past like a negative. This is actually a little bit of toe in. It worked. I don't know. I just switched it for 1 and it made a little bit of a difference. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know, but it felt like it did. So I left it. But I usually never go past like a 0.5. That just feels like too much. Some cars I'll run like a 2 and a 3 or a 2 and a 4, only on the cars that are really rough. Like the cars that really understeer. Like sometimes you'll do an all-wheel drive swap and it's going to understeer out its fucking ass and it's going to be a pain. So save the toe for like last. If you can't get it with all the other settings and the differential, save the toe for the last thing you do. Okay. I see a lot of people say max this out. I disagree. If your car feels very snappy and like it turns in a lot, turn it down. Go 6.5, go 6, go 6.2. You don't always want to be at like, you don't want to have a big front caster. I mean, if you're drifting, yeah, max this out. But like, you don't want to, like, it'll actually slow you down if the car turns too much. So sometimes you want it to be a little bit kind of cold. You don't want to just like snap and like, you know what I mean? You want like a gradual turn. And if you're not really messing with like controller settings and stuff, but yeah, I guess basically here, if your car already feels like it turns in really well, keep between 6 and 6.5. If you feel like your car understeers, I would go 7. All right, so that's it for alignment. Roll bars. Now, in Motorfest, I always ran a pretty stiff front roll bar and mid to soft rear, depending on the car. In this game, almost every 9 out of 10 times, it's just soft on everything. And it drives me nuts, but it works in this game. Sometimes you can go with a stiff rear and it's fine in this game, but 9 times out of 10, for whatever reason, just going full soft just does it, right? So if I took my front roll bar and I made it stiff and I went to drive this car, it would understeer. Not all of them, but most of them will understeer. The softer you go on the roll bar in the front, the more the car turns in. It gets more grip and it turns in. Like you can literally, like to test yourself, take the front roll bar in the front, full stiff. Go to springs, front, full stiff, and then drive it. It'll be like kind of understeery. And then go back, full soft, and then drive it. You're going to be like, you're going to be like, whoa, that's crazy. That's just how it works. Now, not every car is going to be like that. Some cars you got to kind of go to like 13 or 14. Some cars you got to get near the middle. It depends. That's why I said it takes 45 minutes to an hour to tune some of these cars. Rear, basically, I'm always running soft, close to full soft. It depends on the car. Like I tuned a Porsche 930 last night, and it was so fucking grippy that I was able to go stiff, right? If you have a car that's very stiff, you can go stiff with your roll bars and it'll be fine. It'll actually handle better. But the cars that are struggling for grip, and the cars, like if you're going around a corner, like on the circuit, and your rear sliding out and you don't have enough grip in the rear, go soft on the rear roll bar. And the same thing with the springs. Okay. If you're sliding out, go soft. Okay. So basically for the fronts, this goes for springs and anti-roll bars. If you need more turn in, soft. If you need less turn in, you want to go more towards understeer, stiff. Okay. It's the easiest way to explain it. And then with the rear, if your rear is sliding out and you need more grip going around corners because it's fishtailing on you, go soft on the roll bar, go soft on the springs. It's that easy. And then obviously you got to mess with it. Okay. Every car is going to be different. Ride height, I usually just leave it how it comes with the race suspension. Sometimes I'll go 1 click up. Sometimes I'll go 1 click down. You just got to mess with it. It does make a difference. I always like to slam my cars, but this game does not really like that. So, and I think the meta for a while in 5, from what I've saw, is just go full high on the suspension. But it's like, I don't want to do that. No, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it was in Gran Turismo 7 for a while. Like, just running fucking crazy wheel gaps. Like, I'm not doing that. It looks stupid. And it, like, I'm not chasing meta times. I want the car to look good and feel good. I don't want to be driving a monster truck Huracan around a track. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care that much. Okay, so I usually keep it 2 or 3 clicks from full low. All right, that's just me. I'll work around it so the car looks good. It's always the car looks good first, you know? The damping. This, I'm not gonna lie, I don't fucking know what it does. I understand what it does. I've had coilovers on all of my cars, and I had 28, was it 18 or it might have been 28 settings on the fucking, you get like the top of the line coilovers, you've got your stiffness, and you can go soft or hard. And you go full soft, and it you know, you've got more play in your springs, but it rides like a Cadillac. You go full stiff, that bitch is like, it's bouncing, right? But I don't really notice a big difference in this game. And I've seen a lot of people say, okay, well, if you go soft on your springs, go stiff on your rebound and bump stiffness. And I'm not gonna lie, I'll go stiff, and then I'm like, all right, well, that didn't really do much. Then I'll take my rebound stiffness and bump, make it softer. Don't notice a difference. I'll go full soft. Don't notice a difference. I don't really think this has much of an impact on the car. Mine are usually 50 to 70% towards stiff. Sometimes if I'm having issues with a car getting grip on the rear, I'll make the rear softer, like around 25, 30%. I really don't notice a difference with this. I'm not going to lie. Okay. I really don't. So there's that. Aero. If you're like me and you want your car to look good and you don't want to have that shit ass Forza Aero, you're not going to have downforce tuning. So don't worry about it. But if you do manage to have downforce tuning, if you want more, it's always going to be 50%. Okay. You're always going to go towards cornering. All right. Unless you're building a top speed car, you're going to fucking max it at speed and you're trying to get top end, whatever. But if you're building a grip car, you're going to take it more towards cornering. Okay. You're going to lose some top end, but it's going to feel really good. Right. So if you want more turning capability, go towards cornering, go towards max. Like you see, we're probably 85% max in the front. And that makes it, you know, you're tuning to give more downforce to the front so it grips better. It is putting that air is pushing it on the ground to give it more grip. Rear, same thing. You need a little bit more grip in the rear. It's sliding out. Give it more cornering. Go towards the right here. Okay. And then if you got a lot of grip, you're like, I got too much grip. I can throw this thing around and there's nothing I can do to spin it out. Take both of these and go lower. That way you can have a little bit more top end for the straightaway sections in the races. That's the easiest way to explain that. Brakes. Brakes are fun. I see a lot of people leave it 100%. Don't touch it. Fuck them. All right. Fuck them. Don't listen to them. What the hell? Tune your brakes. Get the best brakes and tune the braking force. Okay. Now, some cars, I have it 180%. There's going to be a fine line. Okay. And no, do not save. I'll show you what I mean, okay? This corner coming up. So, basically, the braking pressure is how fast, like, if I go from the 120 right now to 180, my car will stop almost 2 times faster. But there comes a point where you give it too much and your tires lock up. Now, I have ABS on, okay? Like, every modern car has ABS, all right? We don't turn ABS off IRL. So I keep it in the game. It's that simple. Oh, well, you're not going to be as fast. I don't give a fuck. ABS is fine. I run it. I don't care. I don't care. It feels fine. I leave ABS on, okay? I'm not going to go out to my car in real life and be like, oh, I'm just going to disconnect my ABS brakes today. No, it's fine. It keeps them from locking up. Anyway, so basically, you're going to go around the circuit and you're going to attack a corner and you're going to come up and you're going to see how your brakes feel. All right. You're going to get in here and like this big corner. I'm like, brake down. Okay, perfect. It stopped. The tires didn't lock up and smoked. Could we squeeze a little more out of it? Yeah, I actually could. I could go to brakes and be like, all right, well, it could be a little bit better, and we didn't lock the wheels up, so let me try 135%, right? And then I'll go with this, and now I'll apply the setup, and guess what? I'll go back and I'll attack this corner. But just for the sake of this video, I will show you guys. We'll just go full high, all right? So basically, you want to find the sweet spot, okay? Some cars, especially heavier cars, you're going to have to really figure it out. See how my brakes are locking up? They're smoking. You don't want to lock up your brakes. So now we have too much brake force, okay? So you got to, like I said, we had this at 125. I'll probably go like 135. You got to find the sweet spot so where it brakes without locking the brakes up, you got to be right on that line. So you can literally brake super late into corners if you really dial this in. Like it'll save you like what braking distance. All right. So it's 85, 210. If we go up to this 87, 217. Okay. Braking distance actually got worse. 82, 208. Don't even look at those numbers. Just go off of how it feels. Okay. But there's like, I think we did the Evo 9 yesterday and I kept going at like 10, 15%. And I eventually got to like 170, 175. And it finally stopped on a dime. Like it took forever. Like it just, the brakes weren't strong enough. And it just, I went to stop and it just was taking too long. And I would like kind of go wide on the corners because the brakes weren't, they just didn't have that oomph. So I had to take it higher. Some cars you can stay around 115, 120. Others you're going to have to go high. But you're going to have to keep attacking a corner until you find the right balance. And then when you dial it in, you'll be able to like ignore the braking lines and brake a little bit later and really push past the AI. Like you're coming to the AI and they start braking, right? They're like, here, and then you can fly in and then brake a little later and just gone. So tune your braking force pressure, all right? It makes a big difference in how you attack corners, all right? And last but not least, differential. This is a nightmare. And this is where I spend most of my time. Now, I've seen people say run full high for acceleration. Don't go past 10% on decel. And what I've listened to is completely opposite of what I've noticed when I'm tuning my cars. Maybe it's because most of the cars I don't have Aero tuning. But basically, if you read this, the description, I feel, is opposite of what I've noticed in tuning. So basically, you have, and this is going to work for rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive. I don't know, maybe not front-wheel drive the same, but rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. Some cars, I like a 50-50. Most cars, I'll do a 60-40. Some cars, if I want a little bit more top end, I'll go 70-30. But I usually run a 60-40 or a 65-35, all right, for balance for all-wheel drive cars. So basically, acceleration is when you're full throttle around a corner is basically the higher it is, the more your car will turn in while you're accelerating, right? Say you're going around a corner and you're oversteering and you kind of go off, you don't make the corner. You're going, say you attack a corner at 150, all right? And you go to take that corner and you understeer and you go off the track. Okay. Take this acceleration on the front and rear, especially if it's all-wheel drive, and go high. Try it at 50%, then try it at 70, then try it at 80, try it at 85. Figure it out. But you'll notice when, like, we could put this to 10, right? I guess a good way to learn is put it at 10, all right? Go around a corner at like 150 mile an hour. You'll notice how it handles, how it gripped around that corner. Then boost it up to like 90. Take that same corner. You'll notice that the car under acceleration now turns in better. That's what I've noticed. That's opposite of what other people say. That's what I've noticed, okay? So basically, the higher you go on the acceleration for the front and the rear, the more the car will turn in while you're on the throttle, okay? Now, there's some corners where you're gonna kind of let off the gas and coast. Like, you don't really have to hit the brakes. You're gonna coast around the corner. So like this, like coming up here, I'm gonna let off the gas and coast around the corner. Now, if my decel was on the low end, I would have oversteered off that corner, I wouldn't have made it. So the best way to explain it is the same thing with the acceleration. When you let off the gas to coast around a corner, if you need it to turn in more while you're off the gas, bump this to high. Okay? Bump it to high. So you'll notice a difference. Okay? If like go like 5-10%. Coast around a corner at 150 mile an hour. If it understeers, some cars don't always do that. Okay? But some do. Some cars I run 15 to 25 on the decel. Some cars I run, some on the front, I'll run like a 21% decel and like a 47% on the rear decel. It's hit or miss. You got to play with it. Okay. But if the main rule of thumb is for the acceleration, if you're full throttle through a corner and you need more turn in, go high. Now, same thing with the decel. If you're going around a corner, you let off the gas, you're coasting and you need more turn in, go high. Now, there are times where going, like say okay, it was understeering, so I took it from like a 15% to a 75% on the decel. Well, now it basically has the same oversteer. Okay, take it back 5 to 10% at a time. Sometimes you can go too far on the acceleration and decel, and sometimes going back 5 or 10% at a time, you'll notice you'll eventually hit a sweet spot and then the car just hooks. I don't know what it is. So, like it does say here that basically excessive differential locking can impair handling. So while what I told you is true, there are times where you got to pull it back. This is what takes the longest when I'm tuning, because sometimes I'll go high and I'm like, all right, well, I'll pull it back and see if it helps. And if I go back 30% and it doesn't get better, I'll go back to the high. But there's some cars where I'll go 70 and then I'll pull it back even to like 66%. And then it's like, whoa, it just hooks. And I'm like, okay, it works. So keep that in mind that you're really going to have to mess with this. And sometimes too far has this has a bad effect and you got to find the middle ground. Okay. But for the most part, that's it. Okay. That's how I tune. Okay. So let's talk about tires real quick. If you want better turn in and better grip, just go wide, just go full wide. Now, if you're tuning like an A class and under, you can, go like, halfway up and get better results. It all depends on, do you want more grip or do you want more horsepower? Do you want to have fun or do you want to be meta? You know what I mean? I always prefer more grip over horsepower. Will I be a little bit slower than the top cars that are engine swapped and shit? Sure. I also like to keep the base engines that are in the car. But rule of thumb, especially like if you go from this 245 stock to a 305, that rear is going to be grippy as fuck. Okay. And then as far as tires go, if you're building like an S1, S2, you're going to go semi-slick or full slick. And you'll notice a massive difference in grip. It bumps the rating up quite a bit, but it's worth it. A lot of people say rally tires with like 20 to 25 psi is the way to go. You lose a lot of fucking grip. And I'll run some rally tires on some A-class cars to squeeze some more horsepower out of it. But like semi-slicks and full slicks, like if you're tuning a car and it's grippy, right? Say I got the slicks on here and it's like grippy as fuck. And I'm like, all right, I can pull back, right? Like, okay, say I'm like, all right, well, it's grippy as hell. It corners well. Can I pull back some grip and push more horsepower? Then you're like, okay. So then if that was the case, I would come in and then I would bump it down to semi-slicks, right? And then that saves us 11 points here. So then I would just switch to semi-slicks and go drive it around the test track. Is it fine or does it start sliding out? Is it something I can fix? Probably not. Sometimes you got to get better tires. But if it's still grippy with a lower tire, well, guess what? You just saved 11 of these fucking points here. And then you can go add a little bit more horsepower. And then you're good to go. All right? So that's kind of what I'm doing with tires. All right? That's it. But you always want to go wide for more turn in and more grip. That's pretty much it. I always push the like you add spacers and you always push the wheels out. I always do that. I always try to go for lightweight wheels. But yeah, that's tires. It's a lot of yapping. There's a lot of information. There's a lot to digest. Get in there, mess around with it, and feel it out. It's gonna take time. You can look at any of my VODs on YouTube here and watch me tune live. I do it, and you'll see that I go in, I'm like, all right, well, this felt like that. Okay, well, let's do that. Also, having a basic mechanical knowledge of what all of these things do helps. If you don't understand, go Google each one. Take a minute. It's, you know, if you want to have fun, you got to learn. You got to learn, and then it's gonna feel it's gonna be rewarding because you build your own cars, and you're gonna feel like, I did that. I understand why that did that, or, oh, I downloaded somebody's tune, but I wish it handled this to fit my driving style. Then you can be like, all right, I know how to tune the car. So if I have it set up like this, I want it to do a little bit of this thing. And then you can be like, okay, I know to change these settings. And then you do it yourself, and you're just going to feel really good about it. And then you can put whatever wheels and kits you want on it. But that's my experience with tuning in Forza. Am I right? Am I wrong? Who knows? It works for me. A lot of you love my grip tunes, so it's obviously working. It's not going to fit everybody's driving style. And like I said at the beginning, every content creator tells you different things. This is my experience with the tuning, and this is what works for me. And that's how I do it. I will still give my share codes, and I will still show all of my settings. And that's that. So anyway, know the drill. Subscribe, come back. Till the next one.